This interview is brought to you by Fortinet Federal. How can your agency improve network visibility, control, and cyber defense? With advanced technology and expert support from Fortinet Federal. Advance your mission with modern, trusted networks that connect data centers, clouds, and remote users. For more, see FortinetFederal.com.
Hi, I'm Jordan McDonald, staff writer at DOD CIO Media and Research, here at FCA TechNet Cyber in Baltimore. Today, I'm joined by Robert Franzen, Deputy Customer Experience Officer at the DoD CIO office. Thanks for joining us, Robert.
Thanks for having us.
Robert, in the past couple of days we've been here, we've heard a lot of news, especially yesterday, about Fulcrum, a new tech strategy. Could you sort of help us understand what it is? Why is it such a big deal?
Sure. So Fulcrum is the new Department of Defense Information Technology Advancement Strategy. It builds on the former digital modernization strategy. It's like the next step. It's an easy read. It's about 16 pages in plain speak so that people that aren't IT can understand what we're trying to do, what to measure, and why it matters. So it's definitely a different approach to the strategies we've had in the past.
So Fulcrum, reading the strategy, we've seen things that have popped up in other IT strategies like Zero Trust. What is it about Fulcrum in particular that is so different from the strategies that we've had before?
Sure, that's a great question. So Fulcrum is like a North Star for everyone that's involved in IT in the department to follow. So we're really at a tipping point right now where there's all this great technology that's out there and that we're leveraging. And so the concept behind Fulcrum is it really provides the nexus of where we have all these department strategies that you're talking about, which brings IT to action. And Fulcrum is the nexus so that it bridges the gap between those strategies and technology and realizing the national defense strategy and the national security strategy. So really, those things uses Fulcrum as leverage to enable those larger strategic department strategies for the country.
Absolutely. And, we're still waiting on an implementation plan, but I'm sort of curious, what sort of steps will we need to take to see Fulcrum fully enacted?
Sure. So the next step actions are really where we need to mobilize the commitment. And that's what we do in the implementation plans. So Fulcrum doesn't tell us how we do the work. It tells us the why it matters, what to measure. The implementation plans put that into action. Again, key word here, mobilize the commitment. That's to empower the workforce to go out and make it happen. And then followed by that is, how do we make the change last? Or like the PDCIO, Ms. Beavers likes to say, sustain the gains. So that's to make sure that the change sticks and that we start to realize these changes. And we do that through performance monitoring and holding ourselves accountable and measuring progress towards those OKRs and objectives in LOEs that are in Fulcrum strategy.
Absolutely. Yesterday, Leslie Beavers called Fulcrum a sort of community effort. Could you sort of help me understand that? What sort of collaboration are you looking for with this new strategy?
Sure. So that's a great point. So Fulcrum it's a department strategy. It's not a CIO strategy. It's a Department of Defense IT strategy. And so Ms. Beavers tasked us with assembling a large community across the entire department. It was people from the Department of the Air Force, Department of the Navy, Joint Staff. We had people from the Guard Bureau, DISA. We assembled about 40 strategic authors. It was important that we did it at the action officer level because we wanted to get the people that actually have to implement the actions to make the strategy come to life to be part of putting that forward. So when she talks about that community of interest, that's what she's really talking about is it's not a CIO document, it's not a Miss Beavers or a Robert Franzen, it's a department document that we put together with everybody, and that's what makes this unique.
Absolutely. Is there sort of like a timeline or outlook for when Fulcrum would be fully implemented?
Well, Fulcrum is for 25 through 29. So we're going to be working on the implementation plans the rest of the summer, developing those, how do we make it last metrics to hold ourselves accountable. And the idea would be that it goes into full force in October, and we do what we say and we say what we mean.
Absolutely. And I wanted to ask about those metrics. You talked about it earlier today. What does come next for Fulcrum? What can we expect? Sort of what would be the key results that we would see that show that this is working for the department as a whole?
Well, I'll give an example. So tech debt is a big issue in the department. You can't run a network of the size and scope like we have at the Department of Defense without accumulating tech debt. It's just a natural byproduct of what we do. It's really about, though, how we manage the tech debt responsibly. So, for example, there would be many user experience type metrics that go into place that are involved with managing tech debt, which would reduce latency, that improves user experience, replacing older legacy end user devices, which we talk about in Fulcrum, and measuring tech debt ratios. So, there's that picture of that iceberg right under the water, and you don't know how big it is. Well, that's tech debt. And so we really got to focus on how big that iceberg is, and then what are we doing to reduce that over time. And so through that reduction is the implementation of modernization, like on the network. It's making it secure with zero trust, like you talked about. And all of this is focused on making the experience or the capabilities that the warfighters, which we talk about in LOE 1, have at their fingertips so that they have competitive and decisive advantage on the battlefield.
Absolutely. Well, Robert, thank you so much for speaking with me about Fulcrum. Looking forward to the implementation plan and seeing how it develops over the next 4 years.
Enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Nice to meet you.
This interview is also brought to you by Comcast Government Services. Find out how Comcast Government Services is providing solutions to the federal government that enable mission-critical network transformation designed to scale with evolving needs. Visit comcastbusiness.com/FedGov to learn more.